I need to read this thing here. So I'm going to begin the reading of the script for the remotely conducted meetings. The meeting is open to usual at 6 o'clock. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. And so this is for the members, for the two new folks. We'll come back to you in a minute. So Paul and Nancy McNulty, here. Charlie,
here.
Joe Anthony, Scott Bornstein,
Here.
Larry Perot,
Here.
Lori DuPont.
Here.
To move your all we can see is your eyebrows, Lori. So that's not part of the script. Staff, when I call your name, there are no staff. Here we go. There are no staff that are here today. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. So we have Tom Powers.
Here.
And Carl Mercurio.
Here.
Okay. Who?
Sarah.
Oh, and Sarah, that's right. And Sarah is here as well as our secretary.
Here.
All right. All right, so good afternoon or evening, everyone. This is an open meeting of the Rail Trail Advisory Committee. It's being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we're advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, Governor's order suspends the requirements of open meeting law to have all meetings publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely, which we are doing. Ensuring public access will not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment and public participation if people email us to the public participation email address. For this meeting, the Rail Trail Advisory Committee is convening remotely via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting materials. Supporting materials that have been provided to members of the body will be shown during this transmission if applicable. The public is encouraged to follow along the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. General business meeting business rules. We are now turning to the first item of the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each item of the agenda, and we will go through them, and we will refer to the appropriate member to lead the discussion. After they conclude their remarks, I, the chair, will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public content, we have established an email address for public comment, publiccomments@danversrailtrail.org. This email address is shown online and with streaming for this meeting. Residents may email comments and they will be provided and read out when they've been received. All emails must contain the date and the subject line. Please include your full name and address in the email. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Woo! All right, thank you all for your patience in listening to that. I'm going to now do a quick screen share to show the agenda. Hopefully you can all see this agenda. So here's the agenda for today, and this is where we notified how people may participate by pre-registering via email. I've read the minute of the remote participation. So new business, we're gonna just quickly, I'm gonna review these items, comments from the public. We're gonna introduce the new volunteers. We're gonna talk about Medtronics offer to volunteer, funding mulch at Putnamville Park, and we have a series of current and recent business items to discuss. The work we did at the Maple Street Church, the shed at 32 Hobart, review the status of the area around 3.6 and general surface repairs, improving public participation when using Zoom, an update on the Northwest Extension project from Georgia and Aaron. And one change I'm going to make is I'm going to move that a little earlier in the discussion, and I'll note that when we get there. Mile marker, fundraising, and any updates that we might have from Larry on the state of our finances. So there's the agenda. I'm now going to go back to the normal view. And again, apologize folks, I have to keep looking over email just to make sure I'm not getting any public comment emails from people wishing to join, nor hopefully they haven't ended up in my spam filter. Okay. So the first item on the agenda, we have two folks that are here. I'll let them introduce themselves who have offered to volunteer. I'm going to start with you, Tom. This was mainly an opportunity to see the folks on the agenda and for us to see you and hear from you. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and express a little bit of your interest and how you might help, that'd be great. Ask questions.
Yes, thanks, Paul. Hey, folks, Tom Powers. I've lived in Danvers for 30 years, and prior to that, during high school, middle school, high school, and college, I also lived in Danvers. Moved away for a career with the FBI. Took me out of state for 27 years, and relocated back here. And I've been using the rail trail a lot since it opened. Running, biking, walking, and really looking forward to helping you guys out. I use it and I should give back. So that's my whole motive, and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Tom?
Just a comment. He's all broken into the mower. He's already mowed Hobart and doing a great job. Good to work with Tom. He's a good guy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right. And Carl, you would like to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, Carl Mercurio. I've lived in Danvers since 2008, originally from Revere. I started getting into biking a few years ago and use the rail trail when I can't get out to like the mountain bike trails at Willowdale or Harold Park or any of those places. So I just like Tom, I just want to give back and try to help out any way I can with keeping the upkeep or whatever needed.
Great. Thank you. You have a question? Oh, no, I don't think anyone else come in. Great. So welcome, guys, and hopefully we'll keep you busy with things to do. Any other comments from the public? If you're watching
If I could, Paul, I'd like to commend Bob Brown. He's done over the last 2 weeks, he's done a tremendous job at Putnamville, down the electric company. Guys, I'm not going to tell you his age, but he's working his butt off out there, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. And hopefully Tom and Mark can help the poor guy out here. So we'll see where we can go. But hats off to Bob. He's doing a great job out there.
Yeah, in addition to what he did there, he's also done a lot of work at the Swamp Walk. He got that trimmer thing that he has, and he trimmed all around the walk. I mentioned that there was another board missing. I saw him on the trail, as I many times do when I'm biking in the morning. And I told him about a board that was now missing, and he went down and he just the other day, he replaced a whole bunch of boards with turning over some of the existing boards, some were made of that Trex material. And so he went through and did a lot of extra work. In addition to the ones that you and Nancy had replaced, Paul, earlier, he went ahead and did more. So I've been following up on that. There was a few nails that needed to be banged in, so I brought a hammer out one day and banged those in. But other than that, it was all Bob doing that work. In fact, he mentioned you, Tom, when I was speaking to him the other day, that you'd be helping out with some of the mowing as well. So Bob has done a lot over the years. He's been a good ambassador for the trail, even though he's not an official board member. He recruited me to come in, or that's how I first found out about the committee. And so Bob's always out there, and I think he likes being in his current position. That's a good place for him, but he's invaluable to the group.
I'll second that. Thank you as well, Bob, if you happen to be listening in. It's well appreciated. So the next topic that we have is Medtronics, which is a local company who have offered to volunteer with us. They volunteered last year. They were good workers. I think they did a lot of clearing of knotweed, and they did some other kind of yard work, landscaping types of work. And they have a crew of usually it's between 8 and 12 people. They're interested in doing something with us in September. And I wanted to toss out, see what ideas people might have on how we might use them. And then what I would do, this would be weekday work, because if they take a day off from work. So we would have to arrange it around a weekday. And I'd like to get some ideas from you folks about any ways we might use them. And I think I'm just gonna go around the horn here like we've done in the past with ideas. And I'm gonna start with Nancy. Do you have any thoughts on how we might use these folks?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Charlie, any thoughts on how we might use them?
I don't want to steal your thunder, Paul, but I was thinking, as you were up in Putnamville,
Yeah.
Bob has spent a ton of time cleaning out all those weeds up there. So maybe Medtronics could possibly lay down the weed cloth and throw some mulch down on top of it and kind of get that area back.
Yeah.
That was your idea. I don't want to take credit for it,
Uh,
but I think it's a great idea for them to work on, and they're just the guys to do it. We know they're
It sounds
good
like.
hard workers and they're strong. So
All right. Other thoughts, Joe? I'm just going to hit back. Joe, any other thoughts you might have on projects they might help with?
I'm always focused on the Maple Street crossing, maybe some flowers near the bike shop, and those ugly poles that I always talk about, the electric poles. Since we did the fence, it looks great, and made a new access path. Maybe if we're going to do some planting in the fall of grass on the church property, maybe there's some flowers we could put in here and there.
Planting the grass.
And
No.
our perennials.
I missed the first part, but Joe, the planting the grass. I think that's a good for folks on the line. I mean, we did a lot of work at the Maple Street Church, but we didn't actually put down loam to cover up with the ruts, because it's a terrible time of year to put down grass seed. But that would be a fairly straightforward project. Put down 5 or 6 bags of loam and seed it. That's a good one. What was the first one you mentioned about?
I was just talking about maybe some flowers near the bike shop. You know how there's a grass area next to the building, the bike shop, Western Cycle, and everybody goes by that area of the trail before they cross Maple Street. This would be on the north side. Maybe plant some flowers. And then I also mentioned the utility poles that are not too aesthetically pleasing.
It's your favorite topic.
It is.
You're gonna get
I'm off the porta potty now, so I got to go to something else.
landscaping. Okay. Thanks. Scott, any thoughts?
I know in the past, Medtronics has done a lot of maintenance, but the trail looks fantastic right now. I like Charlie's idea. That area of Putnamville is, every year it looks so nice, and, it'd be nice to, bring that back.
Okay. Larry?
The only thing I've seen that, and I don't know if they're the right people to do it, but that area north of Agway where we need to address the drainage. There's one tree that looks like it's about to fall over by the roots. It kind of hangs over and impedes on the trail. I don't know if we should cut that down or it doesn't, it looks like it would be a candidate for falling at some point.
But I think Joe has is trying to work with the Fraser Construction to get into that area. That's a lot. That's back-breaking, muck-raking, rock removing work that I think we're going to need a skid loader or something. Which is, I think Joe's working on that to see if we can get Fraser.
Okay. Yep.
And then Joe and I are going to be out in the fruit, and maybe Charlie riding the trail, looking at where the surface areas might need to be. The surface areas need work. We can look for that tree at the same time. We're going to do that next week. We could check that tree out too.
Yeah, it's not far in from where you enter from Agway. It's maybe 0.2 miles down.
Lori, any thoughts?
My first thought was the Putnamville area, which the last time I was there looked pretty messy. And it's going to take a lot of work to get it back to where it was.
All right. Whoops, we got Bob to come in here. One of me. I'm gonna Looking at Bob. Yes, that's right. Bob's just commenting that there's landscape cloth left over that we could use if we go the mulch route. So, okay, thanks, Lori. And then I'm just, Carl or Charles, or Thomas, do you see anything in your experience? You go, yeah, this is projects that might be fit for 6 or 8 volunteers for 8 hours or 6 hours. Nope.
I don't have any.
I think there's some great ideas there. So I will follow up with them and look for dates, and I'm going to just try to do something, I think, in September. Now, the next item is related to the suggestion that Charlie made, which I guess I also made, which is mulch. So if we're going to do this work, we would need to put down by a rough estimate, and I know Bob's kind of listening in on this meeting now. I think we probably would need about 10 yards of mulch by my very rough estimations. And we already have some landscape fabric, which Bob reminded us is there. That's probably about $40 a yard for the mulch. Let's say, if we get 10 yards, we're going to be at, I think it's $40. It's going to be like $450. Are we comfortable approving spending, let's say, up to $500 to put the mulch down in that area, or do we have other thoughts that we might use for mulch?
Paul, have you done it in years past? Have you funded mulch over there?
When we first did the park, we did put down mulch, and I actually think it might have been paid for by Timberland. I don't remember if we paid for it or not.
Timberline did everything. They got the picnic tables, they got the fence, they supplied the 50 people, but all the mulch we did buy.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Kate took care of it.
2012, yeah. So it's been 7, 8 years since we've done that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we did have forestry did put down. It wasn't really mulch. They put down chipped wood, maybe 2 years ago, but no landscape fabric. So of course, very quickly the weeds and things came back up through it. So I guess I will make a motion that we fund up to $500 to buy the pine bark mulch, the cheaper bark mulch, 10 yards, to be delivered for Medtronics to apply. Does anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
All right. And then I'm just going to kind of go around. Nancy, do you approve?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Larry?
Sure, yeah.
Sure, okay. Lori?
Yes.
Great. All right, so that has been approved. I will follow up with the Medtronics folks, and we'll see if they're up for that project. And I do think the idea of if they have depending on the people, spending a few hours at the Maple Street Church finishing that project is a good idea as well, Joe. So that's something we can recommend to them as well.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. That's right.
And print the polls.
Yeah. Say it with she said. So and the next item, which we can jump to, is just I thought it might be nice to recap if there's any comments on the Maple Street Church project that we did. A lot of people on this call helped with that project. I thought it went pretty well. I mean, Lori, do you want to make any comments from the church about the work?
They were tickled to death. Marge said she thought it was wonderful, so, and she's speaking for the church, so I think they were really pleased with their final effect.
Good. That's good. Yeah, and for folks that are listening in, this was to put a split rail fence in along the on the trail property between the trail and the church to keep people from walking across the church lawn and ruining the church lawn. So
Looks good.
And everybody I've talked to from the church thinks it's wonderful, so
good.
good job.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, with the way you did everything, taking advantage of the curbstone that could pop out and the existing sign that was already there directing people to go to the crosswalk to the right. We didn't even have to change that sign. It all just fits into the character of the area along with the fence. It just fit into the character of the town. I thought it
I was a skeptic on the curbstone, but that worked pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, all you did was pop it out and bury it, right?
Well,
It's a
That's a
little,
lot of hard work.
I mean, I'm simplistic description, but there
That's what we did. We popped it out and buried it. Yeah.
you go. Well, essentially, yeah.
Charlie did all the hard work
Yeah.
there.
all right. So listen, folks, I'm going to change the order a little bit of the agenda because what I want to jump to now is an update on the extension. And it's just, I'm going to move it up to a few spots in the agenda. Normally, Georgia would cover this, but she's away. She's on vacation, and Aaron would also be happy to cover this. So I have some news on the extension, and so I'm going to kind of read a statement. We just thought, Georgia, Aaron and I thought it would be best to kind of make sure we were all on the same page of what's been going on. So let me just kind of go through some points, and then we can discuss this. If you remember, at the May 2018 town meeting, the town presented a proposal to extend the current trail northwest towards Middleton. The stated goal was to connect additional Danvers neighborhoods to the current trail, to downtown Danvers, and then ultimately to Middleton. And it would provide using a safe, non-motorized path for pedestrian and cyclists. And it's important to note that the town approved of the project and approved up to spend $150,000 to complete the initial survey of the area, as well as start doing some conceptualizing how the trail might run. The survey of the trail corridor has been completed, and some work has started on the design for key areas of the proposed trail. This is mainly about the bridge over Beaver Brook and how to look for safer passage at Route 62. That work is already underway. So the good news here is that the town has recently agreed with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to redirect funds earlier earmarked to build the Hay Barn event facility to the development of the Northwest Extension. If the agreement's finalized, so this is an important point, that the agreement has not been finalized. I think it was raised at one of the selectmen's meetings. If the agreement is finalized with the Commonwealth, this means we could have about $1 million to essentially just complete the design and construct a very good portion of the trail. This is really good news. I think, and this work would need to be done by the end of 2021.
Wow.
With the big caveat that this is not yet approved. But I thought it was important that the group can know this because it may influence some of our own planning that we need to do. Personally, I think we should all be thrilled by the prospect of being able to actually do this work to connect these new neighborhoods to the downtown and improve accessibility to some of the green space, especially that we have there in the College Pond area. The next set of work would be for the town to complete the agreement with the state, so we make sure we do have the funding. They'll then, in fact, flesh out a little bit more the plans and the timing, and then we'll need to meet with the various neighbors and abutters to make sure they have a chance to understand the project. So we need to build that into our plans. So that's the kind of the statement of where we're at with the extension. So I'm going to pause there. Any questions on that?
Hip, hip.
Hip, hip, yeah. I think it's great news. I mean, like I said, with still work to be done, and it will be work for us. So there's something that it's going to make real pretty quickly. What does this committee? What can we bite off? How much can we bite off? Because this another, depending on how far we get, there's from 1.5 to 4 miles of trail, depending on where we go, how far it goes. Okay, so that's the update on the extension. I just want to make sure people were aware of that, and I want to again reinforce the fact that this is in process, and that we will provide more information especially to the neighbors, and look for feedback from the neighbors in the coming weeks once the plans further fleshed out.
So Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, it's Joe Anthony. Just mentioned that Middleton at the same time will be working on their trail from their center of 62 and 114 out towards us. So this could, and I would think from what I hear, their trail could be complete around the end of 2021 as well. So I mean, it could be a real boost to the area in terms of connectivity.
Yeah.
And expansion.
Yeah. Yep, it's good news. And there's still some engineering challenges in certain areas, like especially around 95 and Route 1. But there's an awful lot of benefits to making our way even partway there as far as opening up to other parts of the town.
So Paul, where were the funds redirected from?
So there was-
Or where would they be redirected
So
from?
I'm hopefully I'm using the right terms, but there was a grant from the state that was applied to building of a hay barn event facility, I believe at Endicott Park.
Correct.
All right, and that project has not gone ahead, and so the $950,000 or so that was earmarked for that or granted for that is not going to be applied to that project. But the state has agreed to another project, which is a similar amenity, recreational amenity. It's an amenity for the town. Brings people into the town and improves walkability, etc. So that's where it came from.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So the next topic we have is the shed. And the reason why I want to change the order a little bit is I do think that, as we talk about this shed and, what kind of, how much we would want to spend, what kind of facility we would want to put there, we should keep in mind that that section of the trail will be the intersection of the new trail and the current trail, or the extension in the current trail. So it has a lot more, it will get a lot more visibility going forward. So I circulated a note. What I was going to do, Charlie, was I was just going to put up in screen share the note that we circulated regarding the shed. And then the other thing, Matt has raised concerns about this, so I also want to make sure that Matt's not here. I want to make sure that I read Matt's email, which I think I'm supposed to do, raising his concerns. But I think you've all seen the email. But Charlie, why don't I go to screen share so you can just, if you want to just kind of hit the highlights of what we're proposing.
Sure.
So hopefully everyone can see the summary here.
So we started discussing this last couple of meetings. It's a task number 620. Basically, we need to protect our gear, our new mower, the trailers. You can see a list in the body of this sheet of all the stuff that is spread around between Paul's, mine, Laurie's, and Bob's houses. It'd be good to get it all together in one spot and protect it. What really drove this is when we pulled our tractor out of the North Putnam Street garage last spring to mow for the season, it was literally destroyed because they really pack it in there. So it can never go back in that area again. So that's driving the shed. So I was assigned to get a general idea of what a shed cost would be. So we have multiple ways we can go. Paul is going to read Matt's suggestions on the container and being a home built. I'm going to let that one go for now. But when we're talking about $1 million going into an extension, I thought it'd be better to have something nice there. I think somebody in town kind of mentioned it as a destination point because we're on a crossroads. So if we look at this area being kind of a development of a shed for all our stuff, maybe a picnic table, maybe a tooling station, maybe a water fountain and a dog watering station, all in one location. This is almost like a little park at the junction of these roads. If we're going to do that, in my mind, you got to have something that's aesthetically pretty. And it's a matter of taste. I don't think a container is a pretty thing. I think a shed is. So I went after the sheds, and I went to the big two New Hampshire companies, Post Woodworking and Reed's Ferry, which you all know because they advertise real heavy on TV. And I got some prices. I apologize for the 90-degree turn on the sheet.
Yeah, I was going to say it's down. It is. Everyone got this. It's here. I'll bring it up.
Tough to read.
Yeah.
The container that we were looking at is 8 feet by 20 feet. So that would be 160 square feet. So I based anything going in there to be 160 square feet. So as you can go through, if I take the base prices that they have in the sheets on their websites, and I add in the package we wanted, which is a solid metal folding door at one end, so you can put a big padlock on it, that left end you see, there would be no door on the side.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
There would be transom windows on the other three sides, those high transom windows, one per side, so we can get some light in there. And it would be painted that B&M maroon bottom and the mustard yellow top, just like the Freight House. And also there would be those windows, and also would be a ramp, a 5 foot wide by 4 foot long ramp. And the sides would be actually pine and groove, tongue and groove pine. And we'd paint over that. So it wouldn't be like a sheathing type material. So that's what it was all based on, just so we could compare apples to apples. If you look at that, Post Woodworking, although they make a very good product, is $8,383 for the shed, complete. Reed's Ferry, $7,444. Eastern at $6,329. There is a Home Depot version. It's very cheap, and the construction, the materials are terrible. I would never even go near that thing. It was a little bit bigger at 192 square feet, I think. So my recommendation to the committee would be to go to the Eastern Shed version, the 6300. If you want to look at it online, you may. If you want to look at it in person, you can go up Route 114 all the way up to Andover, and the Eastern Shed Company is right on the side. If you want to go a little bit closer, Reading Lumber over on Route 28 and Reading also has Eastern Sheds there that you can go inside and look, and the brochure is there if you want a little help making your decision. But that's where we are. For us, it would just be a matter of prepping the site, putting down some 3/4 pea stone, and painting the thing. As far as making it, yeah, we could make it. But I think we're looking at something we really want aesthetically pretty. Plus, my schedule this fall is not allowing that. I am making a shed anyway for my daughter up in New Hampshire right now. It's only 144 square feet. It's going to come out at about $3,400, $3,500 by the time I'm done. And I'm retired. I don't want to be in the shed building business, but that's just where I stand right now. Okay.
All right.
I'll take any questions if you want them.
I'm going to stop the share. Just I think people have had a chance to look at this and get an idea of what we're talking about. So are there comments from anyone on the committee on this proposal?
Oh, my only thought is, a good lighting survey of the area, just for security purposes.
I think part of the discussion when we talked about before too was some type of solar powered lighting for the unit. Is that something that was factored into the current sheds, Charlie?
No, we didn't look at any type of lighting system. The town requirements is we can put anything because it's on town property, we can put anything we want in there up to 400 square feet without any zoning type interface at all. Once you go near water, it's a whole different ball game. So that would have to be an outdoor spigot or an outdoor location like one of the watering. As far as putting any electricity in it, there's a pole there. We may be able to run it down. We haven't talked to electric about that yet, but we could put solar light on there.
I mean, do we need electricity to charge up things for the mower or tools or anything like that?
Down the road, it might be nice, but not an issue. We don't have it now.
Okay, I don't know.
We don't miss it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so Joe, I'm just going to kind of go around the horn. Actually, Nancy, any comments on this?
No, I think it's fabulous, especially because it's at that intersection, which could be quite nice. And I think we should go with something that's a little bit more aesthetically like a train station kind of thing, or like that one at Charter Street. I think that's a great idea.
Thanks. Joe?
Just what Larry was saying about having electricity in there, I think that's a good idea. I would think while we're doing this, we should probably consider doing electricity at the same time if we want to do that. And then Scott, Scott, you were talking about like outdoor lighting, right? In the area around the shed?
Something on a motion sensor or, some floodlights or something like that.
Yeah. I
It's
think that's a
possible
good
it might
idea.
even be, I'm sorry, it's possible there might even be adequate lighting right now. It just,
I think there is lighting.
It does seem a little bright down
I
there,
think
but
there is lighting, but it's a good request. We should check to see if there's lighting. And then we did talk about this with Rich Maloney about whether or not the town will install some kind of a light. We need to keep in mind the neighbors. We don't want to be, flooding the neighbors with light. But it would be something on the, right next to the shed. So we should look into that and probably be a discussion with the neighbors as well.
And one other comment would be, I too think that the shed is a better looking facility, and I would go for that as opposed, and it matches the architecture of the freight house, which is great. Kind of ties the Hobart area together, and I think that's good.
Okay. Lori?
I think it's an awesome idea. And when Charlie was talking about the transoms, just an aside, my daughter and my son-in-law just replaced their garage doors, and they replaced them with ones that had the transom at the top. And she said she was amazed at the amount of light in her garage from then on. So they're high enough up that nobody's going to get in there. And I think the whole idea is a wonderful, and it's not like we don't have the money.
Right.
And I think that everybody's talking about, you could put some sort of a solar LED light on the peak of the building even, which would work for minimal expense, I think. But overall, I love the idea of putting the shed there rather than a container. I mean, my main thought is we have the money, so why not spend it?
All right. Any comments from our two public representatives, Tom or Carl? You're cool? Okay. So I have a couple comments. How can I know? Oh, I should also, let me take a minute and give you Matt's comments. The few people here don't know Matt, but Matt is often our conscience and raises some of the difficult topics. So he's not in favor of spending in excess of $3,000 for storage facility to house the mower. I am in favor of one of those two low-cost options. Stick with a 100 square foot shed with exterior plywood, pine framing, or asphalt roof similar to the Little League shed, or use the 20-foot steel shipping container. These shipping containers can be purchased on Craigslist for less than $3,000. He's outlined shipping container prices, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500. Concerns with the container aesthetics would be addressed with arborvitaes. Spending $7,200 in this project is excessive and diverts funds that could be used or should be used to enhance the user experience, such as the remediation of the area just north of Wenham Street. So those are Matt's concerns. I'm going to make a couple of comments on that, just again, so this group is ready. Is the area north of Wenham Street is an area of concern. This is the area that Joe has been working on with Fraser to come in and through volunteer labor address that. And then related to that is we're also going to put together a proposal for a warrant article for the town to fund repair of whatever the top 5 or top 10 sections of the trail need to be repaired. And that's something that we'll work on in the coming month or two to see if we can get some town support. Because after that Stones Dust Service has been there now almost 10 years. And there's a half a dozen spots that need some repair. So, I mean, Matt's point, I think, is correct. We do have other projects that we should be working on, but we are, and we are funding those. My other comment that I just want to, I also like the idea. I have one, I guess, question / comment for Charlie, which is I'm looking at the design. I think this is similar to what you chose. And I'm just wondering, offline topic, but when I compare it to the shed below, I'm wondering if there may be a little bit of flexibility in making it look even a little closer to the shed. You know, I'm just looking at like the dormers coming out a little bit further over the roof line coming out a little further. Topic for another, we don't have to get into it now, but.
I can answer it now.
Okay.
Because I felt the same way. Make it look like the
Right on.
like East Plains building right across the street. But for every side that you want to put a dormer out on, $940 extra.
Matt won't like that. Okay. All right. Well, it's good to know.
Once the standard designs are expensive, but not bad. Once you start putting extras on these things, it skyrockets in no time at all. So, yeah, I agree with you, but I thought it was an expensive option.
You know, thank you. My other comment is when I think about and I look at the screen and I see the people that are here, and I don't see Bob, but I know Bob's there watching us and listening. There's a relatively small group of people who are out daily and regularly on the trail, taking care of the trail. And the amount of work is going to increase, especially if we do this extension. So, you know, to have, you know, Lori and Paul and Nancy and Mark and Charlie and Bob storing this mishmash of stuff in our houses, it's not really respectful of the time of the volunteers. You know, we put so much effort, 500, 600 hours so far this year of volunteer work. Having a centralized facility that makes it easier to store, easier to access for new volunteers, you know, like Tom and Carl, to me just makes a lot of sense. And doing it in a way that's kind of aesthetically pleasing, it just seems like a very reasonable thing to do. And I don't want to completely, you know, I mean, Matt has some good concerns about the amount of money we have, but we do have a, you know, pretty good amount of money in the bank right now that we can apply to this, and we raise it for these kinds of reasons. So
We also have the possibility of approaching Margaret Bailey for some of the additional funds that she said she could provide for different projects that come up.
Well,
So maybe we could, you know, at least bring that up.
well, we also have opportunities to go to Kiwanis and to Rotary for donations. There's a variety. The interesting thing is once you have a project that you've defined, you know, and we just look at what we've outlined here in the sheet I saw earlier, it makes it real. And it's easier to go speak to people and say, would you like to have the Kiwanis Club plaque or the Tom Powers plaque on this shed? You just have to agree to pay for it. But it makes it easier to go out and do fundraising when you have something you can point to. And so I think we have options to do that as well.
Is a thought also, Paul? We may want to, and you're not going to like this, but you may want to sell this as a junction, Rail Trail Junction. Is this park, that whole, not just the shed there,
Yeah.
but this whole area between the fences and the road and the trail,
Yeah.
become a park.
Yeah.
Because it's all cut. They
Yeah.
cut it, the town. It's a beautiful little area.
Completely
And
agree.
make it into a good destination.
Yeah.
So sell it as a destination rather than a shed.
Well, and I think that's why I wanted to cover the extension, the good chance that the extension might come in, because it would connect right there. And so having something that aesthetically fits, I just think makes sense, the extension.
Maybe a good place for a porta potty down the road too.
Yeah, could be,
Mhm.
could be. And then I'm gonna basically, I'm gonna make the motion here. So basically the motion is that we would request $7,200 to purchase the above items. So to purchase the shed and the ancillary equipment, the pea stone and the painting, et cetera, no more than $7,200. And that prior to the purchase, we'll ensure that Danvers Electric approves the shed and the placement, and that we've addressed neighbor issues, and that we have planned for the placement and appropriate amenities. So there's still a little bit of work to be done. Charlie was keen, I think correctly, to say, well, let's get this started this month so we don't have to wait till September. So we'd be looking for the board, the committee approval to spend up to $7,200, but there is still some work to be done to make sure we've got approval from the town from the standpoint of the placement, the exact placement, and the design of the shed.
So I have a question.
Say again?
I have a question.
Oh, please.
So, what order should we go? I mean, I think we should address the issue that Matt brought up. I mean, I agree with your proposal, but I think we need to find closure with Matt, maybe before we authorize it. I don't know.
What's the question for Matt?
Well, he's saying he doesn't think we should spend more than $3,000 on the container or the shed or whatever we're gonna put there.
Yep. Well, and that would be registered as a no.
Vote.
vote.
Okay,
And that's, normally we just would take, I think Matt's opinion is stated, and he needs to really be here to vote. But we can take his vote and assume that it would be a no vote. And that, and we've discussed the shipping container question before, and I thought there was kind of general agreement that the shipping container wasn't the right approach from an aesthetic perspective. So I guess the motion, I'm going to make the motion, which is I'm going to ask that the committee approve to spend up to $7,200 to purchase the items listed in this sheet, the shed and the ancillary items. And that prior to the purchase, we'll ensure that Danvers Electric, Danvers Engineering approve the shed, and we'll make sure we check with any of the neighbors for any issues. Anyone want to second that?
I do have
I'll
another
second it.
question. I have another question. When does the clock start ticking on the 10 to 12 weeks? Because even if we ordered it tomorrow, wouldn't be until November, potentially, and then what would we do with the mower, and where would it go if we don't have a shed ready before the end of the year?
The backup plan is that the John Deere tractor
Yeah.
will reside in my cellar for the winter.
Oh, okay.
The backup plan.
That's the backup
And I've already broken that to the wife.
plan. All right,
Okay, so we need to move to somebody either needs to second this or not second it.
I'll second it.
I second it.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask for a vote. I have to go around the horn here. So Nancy, do you approve of this purchase of
Yes,
$7,200?
I do.
Okay, Charlie, do you approve?
I do approve.
Thank you. Joe,
yes,
Scott,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Paul says yes. Okay, so we'll document that. And for the records, Sarah, I'll give you this note that I'll make sure you get this so we can put this right in the minutes so people know exactly what was voted on.
Okay.
And also, we also can include Matt's concerns as well. And I don't want to completely be dismissive of his concerns, but it is what it is. Okay. Next item, shed. Okay, the area around 3.6. We sort of touched on this, but Joe, do you want to give an update on Fraser and anything happening there?
yes. I talked to Jim just this past week, and he's busy. He wants to do work still, but we have to wait till after Labor Day, and then he can set a date for a Saturday or a Sunday, I guess, for his crew. He will try to get his crew out there. He said he'll set a date, but he will give us a 2-week look ahead. So if it's the 10th, then on the 24th, he'll do the work. So he just needs 2 weeks. That'll give us 2 weeks to make any notifications that we need to do, or any preparations that we need to do in terms of getting volunteers out there to kind of close off the trail in the construction area, because he'll have equipment there and people working pretty intensively for 2/3 of a day, probably.
Well, that's good, Joe. The 2 weeks. I mean, certainly from our schedule, we can
Yeah.
usually book that. Plus, that gives us time to put something up on the website. I mean,
And
that's
signs on the trail.
and if we need to put
There's
signs
gonna
up,
be-
yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let us know.
Yep.
Any questions for Joe? Okay. The next topic we had was actually the topic that Matt raised last month: improving public participation when using Zoom. So we've done that. Basically, on the agenda, we included how people can participate. We have two members. We have Tom and Carl have in fact participated this way. And as a reminder, you would just email to the public comments at danversrailtrail.org with a request to participate and the reason for participation, and then we just give people access to the Zoom link, so their face would be here, and they would be very welcome to participate. Okay, we did that. Larry, any updates on the fundraising side of things?
Yes, North Shore Bank did finally renew the Beverly Bank major mile marker at 4.0. So I got the check for that last Saturday.
Great,
I didn't send you an email about that yet. But,
great.
and Maple Street contributed $200 towards the work that we did, and that was an agreed upon amount.
Yeah.
But I did receive that money as well.
That's great. And we did get the decals. Laura Silly did get the decals. I think 4 of them or whatever it was. And then Nancy and I put those on the new decals for the new sponsors. Those have been applied, and we repaired that broken mile marker at 3.1, which had been run over by the mower, I think. So we took care of repairing that. Thank you, Larry. Any questions?
Yeah, we have saved some money by not having the porta potties out there this year. I think just with the additional cleaning requirements, the costs were going to be out of sight for if we could even do it. There's just been so many questions about it, and I think we decided this year and not even bring it up again. And we'll revisit it next year.
We'll leave it to Nancy to bring it up. Okay. The next item is approval of the minutes from the July 18th meeting. Any concerns? Can I just have to go around the horn, look for approval of the minutes? Nancy?
Yes, I approve.
Charlie?
Yes, I approve.
Joe?
Yay.
Yeah, okay. Scott?
All right, Joe.
Okay, that was a yes from Scott. Larry?
Aye.
Lori?
Yes.
Okay, and I want to shout out for Sarah, who's done a nice job in pulling them together for us and getting them back out. And
My
thank you
pleasure.
for doing
Thank you, Sarah.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Sarah. Good job.
Problem. My pleasure.
Last item on the agenda is the next meeting date would be by our third Thursday of the month would be September 17th. Does that work for people?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead
That's
and,
me. I'll even be out of quarantine by then.
I'm counting on it.
Yeah.
yeah. You going to a hot zone? No, you're traveling, you're going to be coming back from somewhere, Lori?
I am. I'm going on vacation. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'm going to North Carolina.
Oh, well, have fun.
Nice.
I will.
All right. You keep away from all those frat parties down there, you know?
Call
Chapel
it
Hill.
so there won't be any.
All right. So we'll set the next meeting for the for July for September 17th, and then maybe we can meet in person. We'll see where things are in September.
Could we possibly meet outside in the patio of the senior center?
We could. I think, Charlie, it's just a question of we'd have to have a backup plan, which is if we look at the weather, that's the only. I'd love to meet outside in person. I think that'd be great.
Well, the backup plan can be a Zoom.
The black we would have to figure out like 2 days. We have to figure it out before the meeting gets
Oh.
posted. So we'd have to decide on Monday before the
Just a
meeting.
suggestion. If we could do it, it'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We have a bunch of tents now.
It's true.
I mean, I don't know how we would do it, but you're welcome to use my backyard for an in-person meeting. It's big enough.
Yeah, that's true. This has to be nice weather. That's the challenge. So we
Right.
have to put the agenda on the town website end of day Monday. I believe it's end of day Monday. And so we would just need to decide then, and it's a public meeting, we'd need to have the location set Monday. And if we're outside uncovered, we would need to be pretty sure about the weather, or we have a cover, a tent.
Well, plus sunset will be a little bit earlier a month from now as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So, something to consider.
Good point.
All right. So I think unless there's anything else, Tom and Carl, thank you for joining. Anything that you want to add?
Not for me, thanks.
All right, Carl?
No, I'm pretty good.
All right, so we'll just keep you guys in the loop as we work on projects. Bob has not been emailing me, but I'm assuming
Someone
everything's
just
good
emailed.
with Bob. Did he just email me? Yes, wait, no, it's nothing new. Okay, so I think we're set to adjourn. Whoops, wait a minute. What does Bob Brown is sending? Oh, he says we did a good job. Okay, we're done. We got to quit while we're ahead.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a great day. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
Paul.
day.
Bye,
Right.
guys.
Bye.
See you soon.